Hi everyone. So today's fascinating conversation is with the Honourable Judge Patrick Robinson, who is former president of the ICT at The Hague. He also presided over the famous case of the former Yugoslav president Slobadan Milosovich at The Hague, and he is honoured here in Jamaica for his work in the judiciary. And Judge Robertson, I'd like to thank you for joining me. I would like to first of all just ask how you ended up in the legal profession. I mean, what was your route to that?
I ended up in the legal profession, I think in the usual way. I knew from fairly early that I wanted to be a lawyer, a barrister, and in those times in Jamaica, the only way you could become a barrister and practice law was to go to England, join one of the four Inns of Courts and qualify. And then you come back and practice law in Jamaica. So that in a nutshell is what I did. But I always wanted to be a lawyer.
Has that system changed now? So can Jamaicans themselves study and enter law here?
Yes, it has changed, and for the better. Since 1975, we have our own law school. We have the Norman Manley Law School in Jamaica. They have the Hugh Whitting Law School in Trinidad. And we have a faculty of law. So you go to the faculty of law and you get an LLB degree. And after the LLB degree, you do a professional degree, which qualifies you to become an attorney at law. And I can tell you it is a better system than the one I experienced in England.
Really?
They are better trained than we were in England.
What advantages? I mean, there must be obviously advantages of training in your own country, the culture, understanding the system, the way things work, rather than going abroad and then trying to bring your skills here.
But naturally, I think you hit the nail on the head. There are many advantages to studying law in the Caribbean, as distinct from the way I studied it in England. And the most obvious one is that you're studying it in your own culture. You have a better understanding of what it means for the people of the various Caribbean countries.
In terms of the judicial system in Jamaica, I've been speaking to people say that the court systems are busy, they're clogged up, there can be sort of delays, and access to justice is a problem. People can't afford the right sort of representation. I mean, if you had to advise the government to maybe one or two key things that could help improve the situation for those people, what would you recommend?
Well, enhancing legal aid to ensure that the average Jamaican is able to seek vindication of his rights in the courts. But it's not an easy matter because we are a poor developing country and the government has many choices to make and many claims on its purse, which is not very large.
I mean, access to justice is an issue in England as well,
yes.
So it's not just a problem that's a Jamaican problem. I want to ask you about the skills of being a judge, because and at the level that you have judged, at the very highest criminal court in the world, and with lots of competing interests and pressure on someone like yourself in those situations, how do you try and keep a focused mind on the situation at hand, because it must be quite stressful?
Well, I've been a judge in two different kinds of bodies. First, at the International Criminal Tribunal for Yugoslavia. I was a judge there. That's a criminal tribunal. And as you said, I presided over the Milosevic case. Exciting and very interesting, very engaging work. For the past 9 years or so, I've been a judge at the International Court of Justice. That's not a criminal court. It deals with a case brought by one state against another state.
Wow.
And that is also very challenging and very stimulating.
Yeah.
And I've enjoyed both bodies.
There's a lot of pressure. I mean, you're dealing with nation states, you're dealing with geopolitics. I mean, how do you cut through that? It's a huge responsibility.
Of course
because,
it is.
Yeah.
Of course it is. You examine the case on the basis of the material, the evidence that is before you, and you apply the law to the evidence, and you don't allow your own views, your personal views,
Yeah.
to overwhelm you. Personal views are significant, but they should not intrude on your professional work.
It's a skill. I mean, it's a similar skill being a journalist. You always try and pull back.
Yes.
But no doubt that your upbringing, your surroundings will always shape you. I just want to finally ask about, in terms of the current climate, you deal on a world scale, global scale, and the general world. There seems to be more skepticism towards the courts of law. America is facing this. People questioning the legal systems to the very highest level, Supreme Courts, and that really rocks the foundations that many of the countries are built upon. How concerned are you about the direction of travel, people's attitudes on the ground towards their trust in legal systems generally?
I think you are right that in many countries the trust in legal systems is waning. Yeah? And the way to address that, of course, is to improve the legal system. And if you have a court system which is basically unfair, if your process for electing judges is warped, then you're bound to have a legal system that is warped. And I'm afraid that is the case in many countries in which there's no proper basis for electing judges. Judges are appointed on a basis by politicians on the premise that the particular person that you have appointed will support generally your philosophical outlook.
We're on a slippery slope.
It is, yeah, very slippery.
Is it different to before? I mean, you've been a judge for a long time. A lot of these things are cyclical. They might have worked, but do you definitely think this is a different time we're in now, to what you can remember?
Yes, people are skeptical, but it is really up to the responsible parties. It's really up to the government to ensure that they create a system in which people can have confidence.
And finally, I'm a journalist. My wife is a barrister and attorney, like yourself. Our domestic engagements can be very volatile. Have you got any advice for me how to deal with it?
Well, I think you don't appear to be an unreasonable person, and so I wish your wife and yourself the happiest union and marriage.
Thank you. I think what Judge Robertson is saying there to my dear wife is that I'm a reasonable person, so I'm probably right.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Okay.